Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm making Bistec Encebollao. Bistec Encebollao is really just beef steak with onions. The word bistec is like the Puerto Rican word for beef steak. This is really easy to prepare. The only thing is that you want to marinate the meat from 2 to 10 hours. So I actually seasoned my meat and started marinating it last night. So I already have it here, but I will show you how I prepared the marinade and what this looked like before going into the fridge and what it looks like now. The type of meat that you want to get for bistec is the cubed steak, but if you go to the grocery store and you don't see it on the shelves, you can just go to the butcher and ask them for cubed steak and they'll know what you want, and they just have to take a piece of regular steak. I think they'll ask you what type of steak you want, and they'll pass it through that special grinder that sort of tenderizes the meat. Other than that, you need one big white onion, oil, just regular vegetable oil, a little bit of vinegar, adobo for the seasoning. If you don't have adobo, you can use salt and pepper, a little bit of onion and garlic powder. And then I also used oregano. I know my mom uses fresh oregano leaves, like the tiny little ones. I don't have that, so I just used dried oregano. And then I mashed up some garlic and I tossed everything together. I coated the steak, I tossed the onions on top, and then I put it in the fridge and I left it there overnight. So let me go ahead and show you how I prepared it. Well, you just saw how easy that was. I just put everything in this bowl, made sure it was all mixed, and then I tossed in the meat, flipped it around a couple of times, tossed the onions on top, and then put it in the fridge. Very easy. You don't need a lot to make this work. A lot of recipes call for sofrito or tomato sauce, and we use that in a lot of our other recipes and dishes. But my mom and my grandma had never made bistec with sofrito or with tomato sauce. I've watched them make this dozens of times. I've never seen them add this. I even called my mom to ask her because I was sort of unsure. I was thinking maybe I'm making this incorrectly, and she confirmed it. She said, no, there's no sofrito, no tomato sauce. I don't know, I guess that's how they make it, and I guess when I go to restaurants and other places, maybe they use more seasoning and it just alters the flavor in a way that it doesn't taste authentic for me. So this is definitely the way my mom and grandma and the way I grew up having Bistec Encebollao. In Puerto Rican cuisine, Bistec Encebollao is a classic. It's right up there with white rice, beans, and tostones. I would say Bistec Encebollao is even more of a staple than mofongo. Like, you think of Puerto Rico and you think mofongo, but mofongo isn't something that you have every week. It's not something that your grandma makes every Sunday. Bistec Encebollao is that thing. It's that dish that your grandma will make on Sundays, she'll make it on Tuesdays, she'll make it on Thursdays. If you go out to a restaurant, they don't have that many resources to be making mofongos. They'll always have enough to make Bistec Encebollao, and it's just a classic. It's really good, and it's one of those must-know how to make recipes. So I'm ready to start cooking my steak. Really, the only thing I'm gonna do is transfer the steak and the oil into my little caldero. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and then after about 5 minutes, I'm gonna toss the onions in and just let that simmer for 25-30 minutes. I'll keep an eye on the onions. I want the onions to just get really soft and tender. But that's it. There's not much more to it. Well, it's about 45 minutes later and our bistec is done. I showed you how easy it is. You just toss everything in a pot, you bring it to a boil, then a simmer, add the onions, and that's it. You have Bistec Encebollao. Really easy to put together. If you noticed, when I prepared the marinade, it seemed like there was a lot of oil, and then when I took the steak out and I put it on the pot, it had sucked in all of that oil, so it didn't seem like there was a lot. But if you just saw the sumins while I was turning that around, there was a lot of oil there. The steak obviously releases all of that. So it might seem at the beginning like you don't have enough oil, you have to add a little bit more. Don't do that. It's enough with what you use for the marinade. The steak is gonna release all of that. If you add more, you're just gonna have an oily mess, and this is already a very oily dish. So I went ahead and I grabbed a little piece of steak with the onions. I just wanna try it. I wanna see if it's good. Really good. It's really soft. Has a really nice flavor. The onions are extremely tender. This is so good. This is really good with white rice because you take that sauce and you just pour it over the rice, and it's so good. Another good thing about this steak is that you can use it for breakfast sandwiches. Also, really good. But that's it, very simple, Bistec Encebollao. As always, if you make this, let me know how you do it. If you use tomato sauce and you use sofrito, please let me know. I'm very interested in seeing how that turns out because it looks different than the one I made. It's gonna have more color and it's gonna have more condiments just floating in there with the oil. So I'm curious to see how that one looks. But if you make this the way I made it, also please let me know. I'd love to hear what you think of it, if you like it, if you really love the flavors, because it tastes really good. It seems like it's just oil and vinegar, but it is so much more than that. If you're subscribed, thank you. If you're not subscribed, but you're here watching the videos, feel free to subscribe if you're enjoying them, and like and share. Thank you.